They say some men don't love, they haunt. You don't realize you've let a ghost into your life until his silence becomes louder than your heartbeat. This story begins with one rule. One simple rule she never should have agreed to. Don't ask about my past. Don't expect anything from my future. She thought she could handle that until she learned the truth he buried deeper than his heart. When Lena Hale moved into the old brick apartment building above the river, she expected three things: noisy neighbors, midnight sirens, and the faint smell of burnt coffee drifting from the laundromat downstairs. What she didn't expect was Archer Wilde. He lived across the hall. Room 302, always half lit, always smelling faintly of cedar and jet fuel. He walked with a calm, deliberate quiet, as if noise was something he'd sworn off long ago. The first time Lena saw him, he had a duffel bag slung across his shoulder, dark curls damp from the rain, and an expression that looked like he'd been carved from stillness itself. Polite, controlled, distant. He nodded once. That was all. Lena didn't think twice at first. She was in her final year of nursing school, working overnight shifts, tired enough to fall asleep standing. Archer was just the quiet guy across the hall. But life shifts in little ways first, before it tears open entirely. It was 3:12 a.m. when she knocked on his door the first time. Not because of romance, not because of curiosity, because room 301, her room, was flooding. A burst pipe, water rising fast, her textbooks already soaked. The building's emergency line wasn't picking up. Archer answered half asleep, t-shirt clinging to his chest, eyes sharp even when groggy. He took one look at the water pooling under her feet and didn't hesitate. "Move," he said softly, not harsh, not loud, just steady. He rushed into the hallway, shut off a valve she didn't know existed, then helped her stack books on high shelves while the floor turned into a shallow lake. They spent the next 2 hours in his apartment waiting for maintenance, sitting at his counter. Two strangers, forced to share a space neither knew what to do with. He made her tea, silent, efficient, mechanical. She thanked him too many times. He shook his head every time. "You don't have to," he said quietly. "Just don't tell anyone I helped." That line caught her. Why not? A muscle in his jaw tightened. Just don't. He said nothing more. By dawn, the maintenance guy arrived, and Archer disappeared back into his room as if nothing happened. But something did. Archer Wilde had stepped into her life for the first time. After that night, things shifted. Not dramatically, not loudly, just subtly. Archer kept his distance, but distance didn't stop tension. Passing in the hallway, unexpected elevator rides, a glance too long, a silence too heavy. He wasn't charming. He wasn't flirtatious. He was a man who built walls and lived inside them alone. Which is exactly why Lena should have stayed away. Instead, she found herself drawn to the contradictions. A man who avoided conversation but always held the door for her. A man who refused company but fixed her broken cabinet without being asked. A man whose eyes looked cold until they didn't. Until she caught a flicker of something warm, quickly extinguished. One night, after a brutal hospital shift, she found him sitting alone on the rooftop, legs dangling over the edge, face pointed toward the river's dark current. She hesitated. He didn't. "You can sit," he murmured. "I don't mind." She sat. They didn't speak for 20 minutes. Then he said something that changed everything. "You look like you carry the world." She let out a breath, a weary laugh. "And you look like you're running from yours." His eyes flicked toward her. Brief, sharp, piercing. Then he said the words that would define the next 6 months of their lives. If you want something simple, no feelings, no questions, I can do that. Her heart stuttered. What does that mean? It means, he whispered, I don't do relationships. I don't do attachment. But if you want company, if you want closeness without expectation, I won't hurt you. She should have walked away, but she didn't. Rules? She asked softly. He nodded once. No asking about my past, no asking for my future. And in the present? She whispered. His eyes darkened. In the present, he said, I can give you everything. She agreed, and that was her first mistake. It began innocently. Small evenings, light touches, moments. Archer didn't kiss like a man avoiding emotion. He kissed like a man starved of it. He held her like someone terrified to lose warmth again, yet too broken to claim it fully. He memorized the shape of her shoulders, but never asked why she came home sad sometimes. He touched her gently, but pulled away the second tenderness drifted into vulnerability. He treated desire like a sanctuary and feelings like fire. Lena told herself she was fine, that she could handle the rules. But every time he whispered her name as if the sound terrified him, every time he held her after a nightmare but wouldn't explain his own, every time she saw a softness in him that he tried so hard to bury, she fell deeper. And Archer? Archer fell too. Violent, silent, against his own will. But he refused to admit it, because Archer wasn't avoiding love. He was avoiding grief. Lena didn't know, couldn't know, that 6 years earlier, Archer Wilde had been a very different man. Open, hopeful, alive. He fell in love with a woman named Emery Hart, a violinist with soft laughter and a habit of losing her keys. They were young, recklessly happy, building a future without caution. She was pregnant at 19. He proposed with a ring tied to a ribbon. They planned a life by the river, 2 kids, a dog, a house with peeling blue paint. He loved her with a devotion that could have survived a lifetime, but life didn't give him a lifetime. It gave him a single moment that destroyed everything. A car accident, a flooded road, a decision he made too late. Only one person survived. Archer. Emery and their unborn child didn't. Grief wasn't a storm for him. It was a burial. He built his walls out of guilt. He sealed them with silence. He convinced himself love was a weapon. Because the last time he loved someone, the world took everything. He swore never to love again. Which is why Lena was dangerous. She felt too much like sunlight in the life he'd condemned to shadows. Lena held on longer than she should have. She kept the rules. She respected the boundaries. She tried to convince her heart to feel casual, but she began breaking slowly. Every time Archer pulled away after they kissed, every time he froze when she touched his face, every time she realized he memorized her body but refused to let her near his heart. One night, she whispered, "Does any of this mean something to you?" He didn't answer, not with words. He pulled her closer, kissed her like he needed her to breathe, then whispered against her skin, "It can't." That was the night she cried quietly into his chest, while he stared at the ceiling, as if emotions were bullets he couldn't afford. Lena stayed 1 week too long, 2 weeks too long. Her heart cracked in silence, until the night everything shattered. She found a box in his closet. She shouldn't have opened it, but she did. Inside were a faded sonogram, a ring tied to a ribbon, A violin program, a newspaper clipping of an accident, and a photograph of a girl with warm eyes and freckles. Emery. Lena understood instantly. She understood why he couldn't love, why he feared closeness, why he punished himself every time he smiled. But Archer didn't see understanding. He saw betrayal. He found her holding the photograph, and something inside him snapped. "You had no right," he whispered, voice cold, trembling, breaking. "I'm trying to understand you," she said. "I don't want to be understood," he replied. And then he said words that would haunt them both. "You deserve someone whole. I never will be." She left. For real this time. She left without slamming the door, without begging him to change, without looking back. Archer didn't chase her. He didn't know how. He only knew how to let things die. He'd done it before. The silence between them became a wound. Lena tried to forget him, tried to focus on her rotations, tried to move on. But everywhere she went, she saw the ghost of someone who'd kissed her without permission and built his entire life around regret. She told herself he didn't love her. She had to. Archer, meanwhile, fell into old patterns of numbness. He drowned himself in work. Long flights, long nights, long silences. He avoided the rooftop, avoided her door, avoided anything that reminded him of what he'd almost allowed himself to feel. But grief doesn't stay buried. It slips through cracks. One night, he found himself standing outside her door, not knocking, not speaking, just standing. He turned away. He always turned away, until the day fate forced him forward. It was raining the night Lena collapsed at the hospital from exhaustion and dehydration. Archer found out by accident, overheard her brother talking about it in the hallway. He froze. Something unfamiliar and terrifying clawed inside him. Fear, concern, care. In a rare moment of panic, he went to the hospital. He didn't walk. He ran. Seeing her lying in that bed hit him like the crash he'd survived years earlier. This time, he didn't lose her, but he realized he could. He sat beside her while she slept, hands trembling, eyes burning. He whispered apologies to a woman who couldn't hear them. And when she opened her eyes, her first words were quiet. "You shouldn't be here." His reply cracked in his throat. "I know, but I can't stay away anymore." She looked at him, hesitant, wounded, uncertain. "I don't know if I can do this," she whispered. "I don't know if I can love you," he admitted, "but I know I can't live without trying." Lena sat up slowly. "You told me you had nothing to give." He stepped closer. "I was wrong. I have scars. I have guilt. I have fear. But I also have you. And that terrifies me in a way that feels like hope." Lena didn't melt into his arms, didn't forgive him easily, didn't fix him. She simply said, "Then start trying." And Archer did. Not perfectly, not quickly, but honestly. Healing didn't look like romance. It looked like Archer finally talking about Emery, about the baby, about the guilt he'd carried alone for 6 years. It looked like therapy, nightmares shared, secrets spoken aloud for the first time. It looked like Lena learning to set boundaries, to stay but not lose herself, to love but not bleed dry. It looked like Archer letting himself feel again, slowly, painfully, bravely. Over time, touch became less about fear and more about presence. Kisses became less about longing and more about trust. And one day, standing on the rooftop where everything began, Archer Wilde whispered a sentence he once believed he would never speak again. "I want a future." Lena's breath caught. "With me?" He nodded, not like a man certain, but like a man willing. With you, he said, if you'll have someone still learning how to love. She laced her fingers through his. I'm not asking for perfect, she whispered. I'm asking for honest. And Archer, for the first time in years, felt something warm and terrifying and hopeful take root in his chest. Something he had buried. Something he thought he'd lost forever. Love. Not the pretty kind. Not the easy kind. The kind that grows out of wreckage. The kind rebuilt from ruins. Slow. Messy. Ugly. Beautiful. Welcome to Realm of Stories, where the shield may fall and the truth will always, finally, be the heaviest thing we carry. Hit the subscribe button now to follow for more content. Remember to like, comment, and share this story